Be honest, when's the last time you bought a piece of equipment because it actually solved the problem? And when's the last time you bought one because you wanted that quick hit of excitement? Today I'm reacting to a video by an OG in this music production content creation space, Very Sick Beats, where he breaks down why so many of us chase new equipment instead of actually finishing music. And this is something a lot of us can relate to. Make sure you stay tuned to the very end of this video because you're gonna walk away with a ton of value, I promise. Without further ado, let's get into it.
Beat makers, producers, do you ever wonder why you keep getting plugins, you keep wanting new gear, but you still feel stuck? It's not laziness, it's dopamine. It's time to have a conversation. It's going to be kind of uncomfortable. You might not want to hear it, but you need to hear it. I came across a book on the internet, Dopamine Nation, Finding Balance in the Age of Indulgence. The name of the author is Anna Lembke, who is a professor of psychiatry at Stanford University School of Medicine. So I looked her up. I wanted to know what's going on because I'm fascinated by this. So I came across a podcast. So she's doing an interview on the Professor G podcast. I want us to check this out because it also applies to us. And we're going to unpack some stuff. Before we get into that, you want to watch this video all the way through. You might want to know what dopamine actually is. This is some deep stuff. For those that don't know, dopamine is a crucial neurotransmitter, chemical messenger in your brain, acting as the brain's reward center that drives motivation, pleasure, learning, mood, and movement, signaling satisfaction when you do enjoyable things, but also fueling the wanting and reinforcement behind habits and potential addictions. What does that mean? That means we want more of it. When something feels good, we want more. We want more. We want to keep that feeling. That's dopamine. So let's go to this video, man. Check this out.
But this kind of where Aristotle talked about wide-eyed incontinence. I see the thing that I am doing. I have wide eyes when I'm seeing it. I want to stop doing as much of it as I'm doing, and yet I am unable to. And so I agree with you that that is true for all of us in varying degrees. And it's because of the way we are wired over, many thousands of years of evolution to reflexively approach pleasure and avoid pain, because that is what ensured our survival. Yeah. Now we've drugified everything. We've made it more potently rewarding, more easily accessible, more abundant, more novel. And so now we're all struggling with this problem of compulsive overconsumption, which is, really making us unhappy.
That's a good point. And another good book on this is something similar. It's called Hooked. It really talks about how these different social media apps are designed to get us addicted to them. I use a different app on my phone right now called Screen Zen that actually puts a timer on different apps to prevent me from wasting time when I could be doing something more productive. And like she mentioned here in this clip, there is a underlying motivation to why we do things. Unfortunately, these different companies do exploit that for their own, financial gain, but, that's to be expected. Let's go ahead and get back into this video.
The overindulgence. How can we relate that to us? So, as you all know, NAMM season is going on right now. For those that don't know what NAMM is, that's basically the trade show for, it's the National Association of Music Merchants. So, you're going to see a lot of content creators talking about new gear, new plugins, all kind of things, right? It's going to be all over YouTube. Be prepared. If you haven't seen stuff already, you're going to see. And this happens every year, by the way. So I want to talk about this because we need to be aware of what's going on. I took a poll. Let's check out this poll, man. It says, beat makers, which do you relate to the most? And out of 215 votes, 59% of you guys say, I start beats but never finish. 13%, I buy too much gear or too many plugins. 28%, I chase the high of new more than the satisfaction of done. And I was going through some of the comments, and some folks were saying, if there's a choice for all of the above, I would do that. Check out some of these comments. I make beats, but don't always make complete arrangement. I make like 3 to 4 beats a day, but rarely fully arrange them. I have literally thousands of beats on standby. Where's the all above option?
All right, so yeah, those are definitely great questions. When it comes to the unfinished beat thing, it's like the 8-bar loop jail that a lot of producers run into. One thing I've learned over the years is to force myself to just push it all the way out, create a hook, create a verse, create a hook, create a verse and an outro, and really just, like I said, make myself do it. It's not that I feel like doing it, it's just I'm gonna push myself to do it. And I've told this story before. It's the reason why is because I've worked with a recording artist. I had that 8-bar loop that a lot of you guys have, and he was like, come on, let's go ahead and sequence it out. I'm ready to record, and do it right there on the spot. And then from that point on, I learned how to make myself sequence out a beat from that 8-bar loop. The voice is going to do a lot of the lifting. Just make sure it sounds good, feels good, has a nice groove to it, and the voice is going to take care of the rest. So let's go ahead and get back into the video.
This is what I want to get into. Dopamine is that pleasure principle. We just talked about what it is. It's that feel good moment. It's a signal that gives us this feeling, and we want more of it. So when we make beats, that's dopamine. Like the beginning of it, it feels good. When we buy gear, it feels good, right? When we get new plugins, whether it's free or whether it's paid for, it feels good. And then what happens? It starts to wear out. And then you want that feeling again. So what do? What do? We buy more gear. We get more plugins. This is something that we need to be aware of.
Speaking of that, I'm glad he mentioned that. There definitely are some new plugins that are more on the innovative side, but honestly, I'm still able to get some pretty good sounds and textures when it comes to mixing plugins from Waves. I understand I've heard the UAD stuff, and of course it's definitely fire, but man, the Waves plugins, if you know how to work them, if you know how to stack them together, read the manual, there's definitely features in there that you may be overlooking, but you can get some really good results. Let's get back into the video.
And so with the NAMM show here, we're going to see a lot of stuff enticing us. Oh man, that looks, the shiny new toy or whatever. And not just the NAMM show, but just in general, when we see a lot of content creators, myself included, because I do it too. We talk about these new products, and then we feel like we have to get it. But we have to keep in mind that the new gear, the new plugins is not going to make you better. It's not. It may help your workflow in certain situations, but it's not going to make you better. So we have to be aware of that, man. Again, this is going to be a little uncomfortable, man, but I have to do it.
Yeah, and speaking of that, it's not just in the music production world, it's also in the audio engineering world. We do have these new plugins that are supposedly going to solve a lot of our problems. And then if you're mixing for clients or you have people recording in your studio, you actually have a flow of money coming in, and a part of you can feel like, if I just have this one plugin, I could solve this problem and I could be that much better than the next engineer. And then that's going to make the recording artist want to consistently choose me over everyone else. I want to be the top dog when it comes to this type of mixing for this type of recording artist. And there's definitely pressure there, because you do want to, it's super accessible. It's super easy to just open your browser, find that new plugin, and a lot of them have those rent to own options. So you can even just pay like $10, but that $10 is stretched out month after month after month. But your need for that dopamine, your need for that pleasure, that pain release could really lead you into, making a purchase of something that you only use a couple of times.
Somebody has to keep it real here, man. So what happens is we see all this content, we see all the content, and we want this, we want that, we want this, we want that. And we're forgetting the fact that why this is happening. It's because we want to feel good. It doesn't feel good to mix. It doesn't feel good to arrange, because now it feels like that's work. That's why we saw so many votes saying, I start beats and never finish. That was 59%. You just saw it. 59% said, I start beats but never finish. Why don't we finish those beats? Myself included. Because now we're looking at the discipline of it, which is not the dopamine. The dopamine is, we just getting started. It feels good. That sample is crazy. Yes, I made a loop. Now what? What do you do with that loop? That's where the dopamine is like, you know what I'm saying? Now we have to focus. We have to get disciplined. Now we got to do some work.
Yes, that's definitely the word. Discipline is you doing something because you have to do it, not because you want to do it. It definitely feels like magic when you get your sample right, you get your drums right, you get that loop right, and you're like, man, this is great. And then I'm gonna come back later to finish it. But you know, that I'm gonna come back later to finish it can quickly pile up, and before you know it, you just got a ton of unfinished projects. And one thing you could do with that is it's also great to find collaborators where you can co-produce with other people. So you two are just swapping unfinished ideas. So you guys are just, I guess, you know, throwing dopamine at each other because what's, you know, owed to you is new to that person. And what's, you know, owed to that person is new to you. Let's get back into the video.
Just be aware of that, man. And this is not just for us beat makers and producers. This is for anybody, to be honest with you. I just want us to be aware of that. And, you might be asking, what is the solution? The solution, and this is what she was talking about in her book, the solution is not to just go cold turkey, because what she's talking about is just like drug addiction and things of that nature, whatever. But we kind of just relating this to music. What is the solution? The solution is to take breaks. Take breaks from all of the new stuff. You have to do some work. You have to balance yourself. That way you are strengthening, basically you're strengthening the dopamine so you don't get into a rut where you feel like I'm stuck all the time trying to chase that high. Okay. If your body gets used to it, then it won't be so bad. What do I mean by getting used to it? I mean, getting into the habit of actually finishing a beat before you move on to something else. And one of the reasons why we get stuck too is because we have too many options. We get unfocused.
And another point I want to add to that is a solution being to put a number to it. So having a goal, whether it's a weekly goal, a monthly goal, so that way you have a way of structuring what you're doing. Instead of saying, I need to make more beats, you could just say, I need to make 2 more beats a week, or I need to make 5 more beats a month. That way you have a way of gauging where you're at. Are you lagging behind? Are you getting ahead? And that can allow you to jump back into your DAW, find those unfinished projects and saying, okay, I need to finish this one out, or I need to send this one out to a co-producer to finish. And you have a way of really assessing where you're at. And that's kind of the thing that happens, especially when it comes to music production. It could be so free flowing and inspirational and real, you know, kind of hippie vibes. We just want to be inspired in the moment. But when you want to start working with recording artists or just any type of businesses in general who have those deadlines, they don't really care if you're inspired or not. They want to know if you can actually hit the target, hit the goal. Can you do what needs to be done in this time frame? When it comes to music, there's a lot of hurry up and wait. So when someone shows up and says, hey, I need this done by this date, you can't make any type of excuses. You have to get that project, that product right there at the finish line at that time. Otherwise, it's just going to be a hobby that you like to do for fun, which is cool. But if you even wanted to make it a side business in general, then you definitely need to set real actionable goals that help to keep you accountable. So, you know, it's definitely easy to fall into those traps as far as chasing dopamine. But in order to kind of mitigate that, let's form some type of structure so that way you're not just all over the place, which can happen easily, but we can go ahead and solve it by doing that. Let's get back into the video.
What does too many options mean? What does that look like? That looks like way too many plugins, way too many sounds. You're trying to decide, you spending a half hour to an hour just deciding what sounds you want to, you're scrolling through all these sounds. That's part of the reason, guys. We have to recognize this. What equipment do I want to use? You know what I'm saying? I'm talking to myself too, by the way. I am guilty. I have way more equipment than I even need. But I have to be aware of it. And when I think about that, that makes me step back and be like, okay, Have you even mastered what you have now? If the answer is no, hold back on buying that new piece of gear.
Man, he is preaching, man. I've been there. I've definitely been there. I've been in a position where I'm, especially back in the day, we didn't have YouTube and all this stuff. We had Scratch Magazine and different message boards that people would show off equipment. And I always felt like, oh, if I got this piece of equipment, then I can make this sound better. I'll be better at that. When, in actuality, I just needed to get better at music theory, or I need to get better at sound selection, or I needed to learn my DAW more. But overall, it's still the same person creating the music, creating the art. So like you mentioned, really learning what's underneath the hood in your DAW or on your equipment, if you use hardware, is going to help you out a lot, because there's a whole world of things that are going on. And I didn't really understand it until I actually started working on like FL Studio Patcher plugins. And I could see how big of a world there was out there when it comes to using even stock mixing plugins. This FL Studio Patcher plugin is just comprised of these 5 different stock plugins from FL Studio, and then we just blended it together, and then it's really competing with the big dogs when it's something that, either it's only going to cost you a couple dollars on my website, or you can get a free FL Studio Patcher plugin on my website. And it's like, man, if this had different packaging, different marketing, different content creators around it, this can make thousands upon thousands of dollars. But since it's open source, something that comes stock in FL Studio, it's not really that, people aren't that thirsty for it. It's like, I'll get it, maybe. But there's this other plugin that does the exact same thing that's going to cost me, however much, and people will buy it with joy because of the packaging, because of the marketing, because it's telling you that this is the thing that's going to help solve this problem that you have. But like you mentioned, it's this whole kind of dopamine hustle, dopamine game that's going on. But it's really tricky. I definitely advise you guys to look at the manual, even if it's like looking at the manual of an EQ you use every day, a compressor you use every day. There's so many little things there that these manufacturers add in, and it can open up a whole new world of creativity, and you don't have to break the bank to do it. It's already there whenever you open up your DAW every day. You just haven't looked for it. So let's get back into the video.
Everybody is talking about the MPC XL. Everyone is going to be talking about all these new plugins coming out, all this new gear coming out. So, also another thing that you can use as a solution is connecting with people. Join groups, Facebook groups or Patreon, like myself and others. Join Discords and just, connect with people. Connect with like-minded folks. Share your unfinished beats. Ask for, critiques and things of that nature. Just get some connection, and that will help you. So anyway, having said that, I hope that was helpful to at least 2 or 3 people, man. I know it was a uncomfortable conversation, but it needed to be had, man.
All right. Yes, this is definitely an uncomfortable conversation to have. I've definitely been, susceptible to going from hardware to software, from plugin to plugin. I think we've all been there, but it is important to level set ourselves, try to figure out what problems we're trying to solve by purchasing some of these plugins, because we could be in a heightened state of susceptibility when we're listening to some great music, looking at some of our favorite content creators, or maybe if they're even celebrities, and then they're offering something that's supposed to, open up the world for us, and it feels great for the first couple weeks, and then before we know it, we're no longer using it. So, I think that is definitely a great point, but I want to know what you guys think. Please let me know in the comments. Are you guys going to be buying some new equipment, some new plugins soon? What are some of your favorite innovative plugins that have came out that you really feel like, hey, this is not cap, this is not really good marketing, this is actually a fire plugin or a fire piece of hardware that I'm still using to this day, and people should definitely check it out. Let me know in the comments. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you hit like and subscribe. My name is Desmond A, and I'll be back with more great videos. Peace.
Desmond A.